Well, it's spring growing season, so that naturally means that we're going to plant some gardens. So again, I'm here with Terry Buettner from Ward Laboratories, support agronomist. We're going to take a soil sample inside this garden here. We're going to determine the nutrient level to see if we can grow some produce. So Terry's got a 25 by 20 garden, so we'll talk a little bit about what kind of samples, how many samples we should take, how to take the sample, and then what we're going to find from the results. So Terry, where do we start?
Well, I'll just kind of explain a little bit about what I've got going on here. I planted some oats in this particular patch this spring. I had leaves, covered it from last fall. I covered it and overwintered it that way, pulled the leaves off, and then I planted the oats. Well, Mother Nature doesn't like a monoculture, so she starts growing all these different weeds and different grasses. And that's okay. It's a living root. It's still adding something to the soil.
Will we see that in our soil test?
No, you won't. You won't. If you ran a soil health test,
oh, sure.
A Haney test or a PLFA, we would definitely see some things from that, but not on a regular soil analysis. So I will terminate this here probably within the end of this week, and then we'll start putting in our plans for the coming season. So basically what we want to do is got a soil probe here, and Ryan will show you. He's going to take about an 8-inch sample. That looks about right. And then drop it into the plastic bucket. Once again, we use plastic to keep from getting zinc contamination into the soil sample. And then on this 20 by 25, once again, I still will take 15 to 20 cores across this. Yeah, that's pretty concentrated, but I want to, be as exact as I can. And what we're going to do, see, in the end, when I get all these cores in here, we're going to mix this together and take your hand and you just kind of mix everything together as best you can, stir it back and forth. And then take a soil bag and we'll just take handfuls and fill the soil bag. And by mixing it together, hopefully I get a little bit from each core.
So if I take 15 or 20 cores, is that one soil sample?
Yeah, that would be considered one soil sample.
So at my house, we've got a 4-foot by 12-foot box and garden. I put all my grass mulch over the top. I put all my leaves on the top. So it's been sitting underneath all that cover all winter, deep. And as we get into the spring, do I sample it the same way I would sample something like this?
Yeah, I would. And actually, depending on what you're going to grow, I would consider leaving that cover right on top of the box, even once you put your plants in. It'd be the same principle. You want to rake some of that back so you've got exposed bare soil. Mm-hmm. Take your soil core. On that size, I'd go just kind of zigzag back across that about 6-8 times. Okay. Use those cores, mix them in a bucket, just like we said, and then fill the sample bag. And then, like I said, I would consider leaving that there as you put in, let's say, a bunch of tomato plants across that. You expose the area, take the garden trowel, kind of dig the soil back, open it up, stick your plant in, and then just push it back, and then put the mulch up around it again. It's going to help you suppress weeds. Oh, nice. You're going to be doing a lot less hoeing and pulling weeds.
And I can sample with that trowel too, can I?
Yes, and you can do the same thing. You can use this. This is about an 8-inch trowel, and so if you don't have a soil probe, and just kind of pull out the core, throw it in the bucket, and you get what's a little bit left in the bottom, move to the next spot.
So that pulls up a little bit more soil than the probe.
Yeah.
Do I need to take as many cores if I'm using something like that?
Well, if I was using this on this garden, I might cut the number of cores in half. Instead of 20, I might just do 10. But I'd try to randomly cover all areas of the garden while I'm doing it. That's kind of the key. You want to cover, have it be as most representative of the area as you can.
Now, the idea here is to determine the nutrients in the soil and if I need to fertilize or do anything like that to help my produce grow. What about the natural things that I can do, like my grass clippings? Will that provide any type of nutrients for the garden while I'm using it, or is it more of a weed suppressant?
Well, it's going to do two things. You're going to get some nutrients out of it too. In those grass clippings, there's a lot of nitrogen, and then there's some phosphorus and potassium too. As the soil biology comes to life in the spring when the soil warms up and then it has some moisture, they will break those grass clippings down they're in the organic form. But then as those microbes die, they'll give that back to the soil, and that's in the inorganic plant available form.
Okay.
So yes, you will get some nutrient out of there. And that's something, if your soil test, if we recommend you need 80 pounds of nitrogen, you can take a little credit for those grass clippings, maybe 20 pounds, so maybe you only have to put 60 pounds.
And so I can go to the landfill, to the compost heap, and bring that back. Is it important that I sample first before I just start putting a bunch of compost in my garden, or is it put on what you can put on to just give it all the nutrients you can?
No, you want to see what's in your soil first before you put the compost in, because the compost does have nutrients in it also.
Do I need to test the compost?
And then it's a good idea to test the compost to see how much, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium you have in that. And then, depending on what we recommend on the soil test, you can take some credit off for that compost.
Oh, sure.
And so you don't have to put as much of a commercial fertilizer on.
Got it. So you said you sampled this last year, right?
I did. This spring I sampled it.
So do you have some results we can take a look
I
at?
have
Maybe
some results
diagnose
for the
some
garden,
things?
and we can take a look at that also.
That's awesome. Let's go take a look at it.
All right.
Thanks.
We walked inside, and I've got my garden sample that I just did this spring. And so kind of looking at the analysis, soil pH 6.8, and that's a great place to be for a garden. Soluble salts are not an issue. They're not an issue till they get to 1.5 millimoles. And so then organic matter 2.3 with this sandy loam soil, that's totally acceptable. I have about 16 pounds of nitrogen left in the soil profile, and this one I've got plenty of phosphorus and plenty of potassium, and actually plenty of all the rest of the nutrients. So then if you drop down and look at the recommendations, the only thing that I need to apply on this garden this year is 70 units of nitrogen. Now, if you look in there, you'll see a comment, and my garden is like 20 by 30, so about 600 square feet. So if I take that 70 pounds and I divide that by 400, and then I would have to, that would give me the amount of nitrogen to apply on 100 square feet. Well, I have 600. So then I would just take that number again times 6, and that would tell me how much nitrogen to apply onto my garden to meet the recommendation.
So basically what this is telling us is that your garden has enough nutrients in it currently to grow all the things that you want to grow, or just specific things, and then the only thing that's missing is the nitrogen.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
And is this plant specific, or is there a general overview of, there's these 10 plants that people typically put in their garden, or what if we were going to put something in there like watermelon or squash?
Well, and that's just it. We have recommendations just for watermelons. We have recommendations just for tomatoes. I choose garden because in this area I'm growing several different crops.
Okay.
And so, but yes, for growers that have areas that they're growing just one crop or considering, a couple of different crops, all you have to do is ask for those recommendations when you bring the soil in.
Okay.
And we offer those no charge.
So how do I put my nitrogen on? I mean, I know I put it on a lawn spreader in my grass, but is it best to put it on like plant food when you plant the stuff, or do you spread it or spray it, or what's the best? And where do we get it?
What you can get, what I need here, I will use some dry product, and it's called urea, and it's a 46% nitrogen product. And you can get that at most garden stores, or you can find it online also and do that. What I'll do in this case on my plants, I will probably, when the plants have been in the ground and growing for about a month and a half, I will take a teaspoon of this nitrogen product, and I will make a little trench about 4 inches from the base of the plant, whether it's tomato or pepper or cucumber, and then just sprinkle that teaspoon in that area, cover it back up. That'll feed that plant.
Do you have to water it right after that?
You can, but if there's moisture in the soil, you don't have to. And
Seems easy.
And the roots will grow to that fertilizer.
Okay. Nice. And so if these numbers look different, do you buy your garden fertilizer very similar to how you would buy fertilizer for your lawn, or does it look different?
Let's just say my phosphorus and potassium were more deficient. And so we were also recommending 70 pounds of phos and 70 pounds of potassium. Well, a lot of garden fertilizers that you'll see at the different garden stores, they say garden fertilizer.
Okay.
And those are usually a 12, 12, 12. That means there's equal percentages of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in that product. So that's what I would use in that case.
And do you apply it throughout the growing season, or can you apply all of what you need at once?
You can apply all what you need at once. I would probably, with my sandier loam soil type, I would probably spoon feed it and do it more in 2 or 3 applications.
Wow.
So
Well, I think I'm ready to get this garden growing.
all right. Well,
Thanks, Terry.
okay, you're very welcome.